Well, good morning, everybody. Get everything up on the screen here. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 23rd day of July, 2020. Well, I just finished Esoteric Influences. They're uploading as we speak. And the hard copy's already on the blog. I'm doing that ahead of time and then scheduling it to like post at midnight or something the next day. Anyway, so you can look at the hard copy there if you want to as well. If you don't have time to watch the video or something, but basically, the one thing I've been doing here, not repeating everything that I do there, but just to let you know what the numerology is for today, is the 23rd day, so it's a 5 energy. That's a 7 for the month and a 22 for the year. So basically, what we're looking at is some change that could take place today, and you know, it's quite profound given the 2022 year, I think. We saw in the news last night, well, it was actually yesterday during the day when it was announced, but the thug things that are happening, the stormtroopers here in Portland, yeah, the thug people, they're coming to a city near you for sure now, I guess. Oh boy. This is what happens in countries where dictators take over. It starts with, you know, demonizing the press. It starts they demonize the opposing party. They want to say that everything about that party is going to leave you unsafe and harm you and kill you and all of these things. So they lie. They do things behind the backs of the people that basically enrich the dictator. So you see all of the things that's going on, you know, and then when a pandemic sets in, it's not uncommon for dictators to stand back and watch their people die, and to basically enjoy watching them. See, they're sadists, is what they are, and they don't care what happens to their people as long as they stay in power. Is any of this sounding familiar to you? Are you starting to feel concerned? Oh, if you haven't already been so, I would suggest you start getting concerned. What's happening with this little nonsense that they're doing? Oh boy. So whether assisting or asserting your constitutional right to protest today or simply going to the grocery store, make sure that you're safe. Make sure you take all precautions. Be aware of your surroundings. If you start to see people coming out of vans that don't look right, minivans, little SUVs, whatever, that are unmarked, and they start coming out in camo and in uniforms or whatever, these stormtrooper crap that they wear, then you need to scatter. You need to get away from them. I don't know what's going on. And it doesn't look like they're just sticking around the federal courthouse and federal grounds. They're moving out and about into Portland, into the surrounding area. And when is it going to be further out? You see, there's no boundaries on these people. At least they think there isn't. Now, our police could arrest them, but they're not. I even issued a challenge at the end of the Esoteric Influences for the Portland police to come out and stand in front of the moms as human shields, basically, facing off against the thugs from the federal government. That's what needs to happen in these cities. You know, the police need to allow the protests. As long as nobody's doing anything, leave them alone. Don't allow people to infiltrate from other states. Don't give them permits to march like they were doing. Yeah, I don't understand the Portland police anymore. Maybe I never did. I don't know. But I used to think that a long time ago anyway, they were not what they were now. But maybe they were. Maybe it starts out small. I don't know. But this is disturbing to see this. Jeff Merkley was on the floor of the Senate yesterday showing a picture, and oh gosh, is his name Donovan? I hope I got that right. I hope that's the one. There's someone named Donovan, I think, was harmed, and it might be this guy. They had his picture up. And he's got to have facial reconstructive surgery. He looks a mess. I think it was a picture probably of him in the hospital. He looks like a mess, what they did to him. The chairman of the history department at Lewis and Clark, she got hit in right above the eye. Let's see, I think on the left eye. Yeah, right above the eye by a projectile from them. From Lewis and Clark, the history department, the chairman of the department. I don't recognize this anymore. I haven't since before the election in 2016. The fervor, the rallies that he held. I mean, the type of sing-song cadence, the repetition that he would use. It's mind control. It's mind control. It's what they do to cults. I couldn't listen to it. You know, as an empath, I couldn't listen to it. The flow of his between the voice and the sing-song cadence that they use, it's hypnotic. It's like I'm going, oh my goodness. And I couldn't listen to it. It's hard for me to listen to him now, except he doesn't make any sense. And so whatever's going on there is progressing, obviously. Makes no sense. Yeah, the situation here is so messed up. To not allow us to know what is, it had to have a completely redacted Mueller report so the country knows just exactly who this guy is and what happened. You know, Mueller says he the second he gets out of, he could indict and prosecute him all day long. So, you know, and he went in front of Congress and told him that. Oh, but he didn't do anything wrong. Well, then if that's the case, then how come he said that? How come he said he could do that, right? Yeah, we're being conned. That's all this is. We're just being conned. But this coming to the cities with the thugs, oh boy. That's some dictator crap, let me tell you. That's what happens in those kind of countries. That shouldn't be happening here. Not here. In Portland? Protest is our middle name in Oregon, especially if you live in Portland, along the I-5 corridor, Portland, Eugene, Salem. It's just what we do. We protest everything. We have the naked bike ride once a year through Portland. Nudity is protected in Portland. I'm sure the thugs got an eyeful when the naked yoga lady was out there. Oh, that's hilarious. The minute I saw that, I thought, okay, welcome to Portland. And then there's the rib guys that are out there. One reporter said that she counted 60 some coolers that they got their stuff in. Is there a street vendor? The street vendors in Portland, you know, you don't even need to go to a restaurant, although restaurants in Portland are great. But the street vendors, oh my goodness, those people, they're just chefs, you know, they really are. And I guess the rib guys are, I don't know the name of the company, but the rib guys are just phenomenal. And they're feeding people down there, so good deal. Keep them in business. Anyway, that's enough chatting, enough shuffling. Yesterday, I was dealing with a deck that I just could not get. I don't know why I kept pulling. Either it was, you know, the spirit saying, higher self saying, no, those were the cards you needed. I don't care if you had them the day before. Anyway, but every time that happens, I just feel compelled to just shuffle endlessly till I can get through that and be absolutely certain that what I'm doing is random here. So let's go ahead and get started. And if you haven't been here before, thanks for putting up with all the chatter this morning. And I grew up. I didn't grow well. I spent part of my childhood in Portland. I moved there when I was 10, and I moved here when I was maybe, I think, was I 23 when we bought this place? Anyway, I had graduated from college, gotten married, had our first child, and we moved here. Well, Portland will always be my home. I attended college there. I lived downtown for a year. I love that place. So to see what's happening there and what I know is going to happen in other places now, because they said so yesterday, that that's what's going to happen, it's terrifying. It's so alarming. It's more alarming than anything I've seen so far. Because what it means for our fundamental constitutional rights They're just going to be trampled on. We can't have that. But we keep saying that, and yet that's what we have, right? So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take the first 3 cards. I'll take the 13th one each time for randomness sake. If you haven't been here before, that's what I do. And then we'll take a rune from the Elder Futhark bag, and we'll close out with a geomancy rune, and we'll let you get back to your day. So let's get started and take our first 3 cards. Well, the King of Cups. The King's been coming up lately this week, hasn't he? First time we've seen this passive-aggressive fellow. He doesn't look in the eye either, though, does he? I don't like people that won't look me in the eye. Yeah. It's a deception all around. And the King of Cups is our emotions. It's a water element. And so you're looking at a guy who, can be compassionate if he wants to be, but most of the time, given his inappropriate use of authority, it's more passive aggression than anything else. So very manipulative, very divisive, very, he wants what he wants. He doesn't care how he gets it. Very guilt trippy, Well, the Ten of Swords. We've come to some completion here. I know he looks dead. He is. But the waters are stilled. You've got no emotional involvement there. He's gone as long as he can go. You can see the sun is rising, although you don't see it yet. You see the light, so the light's returning. The darkness is lifting. And really, you've gone as far as you can go there. Reason run mad. In other words, all of your perceptions have been revealed to be what they are, just perceptions and the fallacy within them. And it's time to let them go and to find something else to believe in. When strange things like or what are happening in our country happen, it gives people enough pause, I think, if they pay attention. Sometimes you don't because you're not affected by it personally, maybe. But at some point, maybe you are, or maybe you just see enough of it, and you know that okay, maybe what I'm thinking is wrong. Maybe there's more going on here than what looks like, and so I need to rethink everything. And so with the 10, you're talking new beginnings, completion and new beginnings. 9 is more really completion, but sort of an inherent is the Degas experience of one thing ends and another thing begins. That's what happens with the 10. I think anyway. So you can say the 10 of Swords is the end of illusion. Oh boy, howdy, we got another king, the King of Pentacles again, looking only at his wealth. Okay, end of illusion about the king. We might need another card. We might even need 2. I'm going to need some tea, though. I spent too much time outside yesterday. I'm paying for it today. And I have to still go out and weed today in my gardens. I have the herb garden I've got to do. I did not do the raspberries yesterday. I waited till today. It's only going to be about, I guess, 84 today. So not in the 90s. Oh, my God. That's just too much. I can't do it. I get too dehydrated. So. Anyhow, end of illusion. We see the guy dead on the ground, 10 swords piercing his back. We see this, the darkness is lifting and the light is returning. The water is smooth as glass, so emotions aren't factoring in. Yes, there's some challenges along the way with the mountains, but the light is returned. So let's talk about the kings. I'm going to hold them both up because I want you to see the similarities between them. You see how they're looking somewhere other than at us. King of Cups has a chalice in his right hand and a scepter in his left. You see a scepter in the King of Pentacles' right hand, and you see him holding a coin in his left. The King of Cups sits atop the water and emotions, whereas the King of Pentacles is the earth element. So it's about security, material security, foundation, legacy, ancestry, just our physical presence in life, basically. I mean, the human itself is really representative of Pentacles. But we sort of spread that out to our life here in form. Now, if we're talking end of illusion, then we've got two kings, and we're talking about the end of illusion surrounding the king. So if this is a personal issue, it's either dealing with some authority figure in your life, likely a guy, although the king energy can also apply to women as well, but someone in authority with a masculine type of energy. We'll put it that way, just in case it's, look, we can all misuse authority. We can all do it. We can all get carried away with the ego of it. The kings tend to do that. You've got the King of Cups, who is passive aggressive in terms of emotions. And here he's really emotional because the water is real choppy, real wavy. You can see I can't tell if that's a boat or a house over on the land. Nope, that's a boat. I thought it was a boat. See some rocks over here. But he's oblivious. He's oblivious to everything but his own emotional state, okay? His own emotional needs. That's all he's about, is what services him, what deals with his own impulses. And it's not about anybody else. He's turned his back to everything, just like the King of Pentacles has. So you see the kingdom in the background. But he's surrounded by grapes, which indicates abundance. He's got the large coin on his lap. You see the ram's heads on his, you can barely see them down here, but you see them up here. So there's some Aries energy there, some Ram energy there, some Mars energy there, signifying the authority of the king. But he's only concerned about his own abundance, not about the abundance of the kingdom. So you've got a guy who's emotionally, unhinged, basically, who cares only about his own material concerns. He does not care about anything else. He's basically using the kingdom and the illusion he wants to create to stay in control. So once again, this is likely about the collective nonsense we're dealing with. It just would be so nice to go back to what was only happening to us in our personal lives, wouldn't it? Without all this pressure, instead you've got a guy who thinks that, oh yeah, let's just send the kids back because got to get the economy going. When the first child dies, what do? Yeah, it's warm in the still room today. I had the candle on so much yesterday that it basically, I can't get it out of there, but it melted all over this base I have it on, but it's got some sides to it. So, just a little bit, got a lip on it, really not sides. And so it's spilled out all over and I can't even get it out of it now, but that's okay. I'll break it out of there eventually, put a different one in. But that's how long I had this on. I forgot. I just left it on while I was doing stuff yesterday. And here on the blog, I was writing. And so now it's just everywhere. Anyway. Yeah, we're dealing with, I think, the illusion of authority that is not prepared to even be there. This is what happens when people are given positions and they either don't know what's involved or they don't try to find out. They just start acting with whatever authority they believe they have, right? They pay no attention to how it's been going. They pay no attention to anything. They just decide, well, this is what we're going to do. They don't stop and ask. They don't say, well, is this what we do? Is this how this is handled? Are there rules about this or that? No. Instead, they think they're there, they own it, they get to do as they please. And they always mess up, always. And what they do is usually quite profound. It's like when you get a new supervisor that comes in, right, to a job, okay? And they do not pay any attention to how the business functions. They just decide, well, we're going to do this. Never mind that there could be, a business plan or a set of bylaws, or depending on the type of business it is. But there could be already a way of functioning that you have to do. Or maybe they decide, well, we're not going to do this and we're not going to do that, and then they get you in trouble with the IRS, right? So you can have someone come in, whether it's a new president or a new supervisor or, whatever it is, people who perceive that they have authority. And I love it when they really don't. That's always fun to watch. The damage they do is quite profound, but it's interesting to watch. It's amusing at times. It's like, we tried to tell you. She didn't listen. Now here we are. And you expect us all to be affected by it. Well, no. Same thing going on in the country. You have a tremendous amount of illusion. It began before the election. The lies were told. They got set in motion, and they've been repeated. The President of the United States is not a dictator. He's not a king. He's just a guy who has to follow the rules. You don't make them up as you go along. You don't pull them out of where. You follow the rules. And you understand how that process happens. You cannot decide, for example, in order to preserve your authority, that you're now going to send in your stormtroopers into cities. To Portland? Jeez. It's unbelievable. I'm going to do one more card. But that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the deception of a king, a deception from authority that tries to do everything they can to create an illusion of being in charge, of having the authority to do what they're doing. They're going to use oppression and harm in order to do it. Senator Merkley, Jeff, was on the floor of the Senate yesterday with, I think his name is Donovan. I hope that's his name. Anyway, a young guy got I don't know if he was beaten or if this was some incendiary device that blew up in his face or what, but his face looks horrible. Maybe you guys saw that. It was on the news. They reported it. He's going to need facial reconstructive surgery. Captain Portland, I think it's tomorrow. I saw him he had a cast on his arm. I think it's his right arm. I think he said he has surgery tomorrow. So unless they bumped it up and that's why he's got a cast on, I don't know, maybe they moved it up, but he's going to have that done. So what's the Veterans Administration? Is it going to be the VA that does it? Are they going to bill the federal government for this? Are they going to bill the president personally for this? Yeah. I know how the VA works. My husband's a veteran. They're not going to like this. Guess what? Neither do the vets. This guy was a Navy lieutenant. Here we have some playful struggle again. We had this, I think, on Monday, did we? Monday or Tuesday? Monday, I think. But again, it's a 5 energy, change, protection. Nobody's really hitting anyone here. This is just an expression of will, trying to figure out what to do. But nobody's harming anyone. There's just a bunch of young guys having a good time, playing around. I mean, you could think the folly of youth maybe, but I don't know so much that really. But they're working out their own struggle in a playful way. One of the things about protesting in Portland, there's a community aspect to it. Maybe it's grown out of it because, Portlanders are pretty opinionated about things, and so they're very socially minded, social justice conscious, and environmentally conscious, and all of that. And they're just amazing, really. And they'll get out there and they'll march, and they'll go to rallies where you have speakers and food, and so in a sense this represents the protesters. Now they're all there for their own purpose. It might be a little bit chaotic at times. They're trying to figure out, okay, where do we go? What do we do? But by and large we've done this enough that we know how to do this. And if people would just let us get this done and do what we're doing, I think they were down to like, I've got Sewillow again. It's like 3 times this week, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it was once at the end of last week or something. But it seems like this is the 3rd time I've pulled Sewillow. But anyway, we know how to do this, and we've done it forever. It's just part of our culture in Portland. It's part of our culture in Oregon to protest. If we don't like something, we speak up. And we'll go to the legislature, we'll go to the governor. We don't care where we go. We're going to go. And we're going to march, and we're going to make our voices known. We never needed outside agitators to come in from other states to be a part of this over the last few years. We didn't, and yet that's what was there. And then little interesting names like Antifa come up. No. Antifa just means that you're anti-fascism. Aren't we all in this country anti-fascism? It means we don't like fascism. We don't like, we're against fascism. That's what that means. There's no group. It's just a generally shared belief. But to say that there's a group, no, there's not. So whatever was going on in Portland between protesters and the Portland police, good Lord. But there were a lot of people from out of state that came in and infiltrated this and caused problems. So again, you get the confusion. Who's doing what? When we're trying to affect change, when we're trying to protect what we all hold dear, being able to live safely in a country where you don't have to worry about police getting in your face and harming you when you're simply exercising your right to protest. So I think the illusion was that this meant something. These guys are not violent anarchists. That's the illusion we have to let go of. Just because you protest. It's like what is he, 75? His name is Martin. I hope he's out of the hospital, but I don't think he can walk. Where was that? Was that in, where was that? I forget. Well, it was on the East Coast. I don't know if it's in New York. I think was it in New Jersey? I don't know where this was. New Hampshire? I don't know where it was. I don't even remember now. But was it, Buffalo. Was it Buffalo, New York? That's where it was. Anyway, the cops come and they push him. They push him down. He just wants to talk to him. And he's been an activist. He's part of a Catholic group. So, the guy in the Oval Office decides to, tweet things that he's some kind of some kind of conspiracy crap about him while he's fighting for his life in the hospital. And then I read that the cops who did it, they're back on the force. Yeah, the illusion is that the protesters exercising their First Amendment rights, the right to free speech, the illusion that we need to end and bring truth back into play on is that these are violent anarchists. No, they're not. They're people expressing their opinions. They're people expressing their will. Nobody's getting hurt. That's all this is. Whereas you've got the king, who's so passive-aggressive and so self-dealing that he takes anything that happens and turns it to his favor. So, in walks Sawillo, again, the 17th rune of the Elder Futhark, or excuse me, the 16th rune of the Elder Futhark. It's a 7 energy for the month. We have as above, so below energies here. We have Kenaz twice. Basically, the light of spirit twice. Informing physical form. That's the as above, so below nature of this. It's the fire element. It's our will. It's expression of spirit's will, though. In other words, invoking spirit into the whole thing so that we can understand what the real truth is. We can end the illusion of the violent anarchists. It's an illusion. It's there. It's designed to keep you on his side, the con man's side, the dictator's side, the king's side of things, so that you continue to give up everything you hold dear in service to someone who is never satisfied with what he has. He needs more. Now, maybe because there are people controlling him, I don't know, who want more, I don't know. But it's weird to see all of this, to watch everything that's happened over the last 4 years, or nearly 4 years. But it's all led up to this moment. It started with saying bad things about the press, then it was about all the Democrats, and then on and on and on and on and on, to try to craft some image and some storyline that he expects everybody in the country to buy. Well, some did, most didn't. But now this is the illusion we're dealing with. These people are not violent anarchists who are going out and protesting what this man is doing. The patriotic Americans, that's what they are. They're putting it out there for all of us. For those of us that either can't, not in the area. I mean, we do have a pandemic going on, by the way. Now he wants to send our children back to school. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not safe for them. But he doesn't care. He needs more money going into his pocket. Is that what this is? That's what's being suggested. You should, if you watched Rachel's show last night, you saw that. They've been showing that one list of payments that went out just over 2 days' time. What was almost $400,000 or something? They started out, the first line of it was $7,800 and change, 7,821 or something like that. It was 7,800 something. The next line was like the 8,000, and then 8,100, 8,200, 8,003. It went up by $100 increments. Long list, and they've paid it. For what? He bilks us out of everything. He makes sure he goes to, he might not take a paycheck, but he makes sure he goes to his resorts every weekend and plays golf. And guess what? Our Secret Service have to go with him. And then he charges us to house them. Charges them for golf cart rental. While they're taking care of him. He's making money off of us. He can't do that. That's called the emoluments clause, right? Can't do that. And yet we're all standing back and allowing it. Because we've got a Congress that unfortunately is controlled by the Senate Republicans. I mean, haven't we been bilked enough? Yeah. By an out-of-control king? Oh, I think so. What do we got there? Well, we've got Puella today. We haven't had Puella in a while for our geomancy rune. Okay, where's my little paper? There it is. Is this it? Yeah. Now, Puella, let's see, do I have a darker pen? I do. This pink one's not going to work real well, I don't think. I don't think you're going to see it. Let's use this one. So for the geomancy rune today, we're talking about flighty, Little girl energy, protester energy. I was a Puella growing up. I've said this before. This is Pure. That would be little boy energy. So we've got different kinds of impulse control when we talk about Pure and Puella. With the little boy, probably a little more chaotic of an energy than the Puella energy is, because girls tend to, and this is why it's considered fortunate, but not completely fortunate. It's a fortunate type of a rune. But little girls tend to, live according to the rules a little more. Not always, but for the most part. And little boys may be a little too rambunctious, right? So it's that kind of energy, but the little girl is going to find ways to act out herself, right? Maybe she's just flighty. That's usually what Puella means. Just kind of flighty energy, kind of, arms waving around and not really paying attention, your scattered focus and all of that, because you're so excited about everything. You're learning everything, you're getting involved in everything, and life is just wonderful, And so it's, think the social butterfly, but so she's happy, and she's, and I just think that I think we're talking about this today. I think that's what it's referring. I think it's referring to us trying to get on with things in a way that makes sense, even when it doesn't. You've got a passive influence there for air. This goes, remember, in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And so you've got active principle for fire, water, and earth, and then a passive one for air. And that's where you get the idea of how she's flighty or scattered thinking or whatever. Now, the other way around, it's the passive is on the water. So maybe boundaries in terms of behavior are not very good for little boys. I know, I raised 2 little boys. They're great kids. It's not, we didn't have any trouble with them. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff happen. Thank goodness, but that's just not who they were. But it doesn't mean that they weren't rambunctious, or they, didn't need to be corralled in from time to time, because they did. But it's just because they get exuberant and they want to do this. Our youngest we said, would you please mow the backyard? Okay. We had a hydrostatic lawnmower. We didn't have the John Deere tractor lawnmower at that time. We had a hydrostatic one, though, so it moves on its own. So my son, my youngest, I think it was him. Yeah, I think it was. He put on his inline skates and mowed the lawn that way. Well, but that's Pure energy, okay? That's that. I might have done the same thing, but I didn't have anything like that back in the day. but yeah, they'll find a way to do it, but they're going to do it their own way, right? And so I think that's what we're seeing right now. The illusion is that, again, we're violent anarchists when we go in and we protest for our rights. In fact, we're not. Now, it might be a little scattered because, after all, things like that take on a life of their own, and maybe one group gets confused and goes off this way when they're supposed to be going that way. That kind of thing can happen, But at the same time, you're not talking about energy that's really problematic. Okay, you're not talking about the adult version of it. You're talking about something that's youthful, and so maybe some mistakes can happen. Maybe people can get carried away with themselves, but they're not doing it as violent anarchists, and that's the difference here. So whatever illusion the king wants to create today, he cannot, because the end of illusion is here. We are awakening. It's the 22 year. We are awakening to a soul level truth about ourselves. That's what we are. We're souls. We're not the body. We're not the ego within it. We're a soul. And it's high time we knew that, and that we function from that standpoint instead of from the ego standpoint, which never ever works out well. Just ask the king, especially when the king is dethroned in November. So it'd be nice if that could happen sooner. It should have whenever the Senate did their thing. Was it January or February when they did the Senate part of the impeachment? He'll forever be impeached. Just because they did not vote to convict him and throw him out of office, it doesn't mean he isn't impeached. He will forever be the impeached president. Okay? Just like Clinton will. You impeach him, you impeach him. That's got to matter. Now, I don't think that what Clinton did was necessarily as bad as what this guy's been doing, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. You have a public trust when you're a president. You screw up, own it, get out. Let someone else take over, who maybe has a little more sense of dignity and decorum and respect for the position, right? Don't put the country through it. But that's what they did. And now we have the same situation we had then. And until we can rectify it, we're stuck, aren't we? Because they're not going to do anything. Whatever's going on, I mean, they're not alarmed by this. Well, I would think some of them are. This whole thug business. I know DHS staff are upset about it. DHS was formed after 9/11. They thought that maybe if they could have all of the intelligence, all justice, all of, I don't know actually who's under Department of Homeland Security, if DOJ technically is or not. Maybe they're not, but maybe they are. But you've got all these people that are supposed to be agencies that are under this one head so that we can all get the same information. So we're not one, because in 9/11, some people had this information, other people had this information, and nobody talked to one another. Nobody said, hey, look what I got, right? So the idea behind Department of Homeland Security was to do that, was to create an agency so that everybody knew what was going on. But it was to deal with terrorism. It was not to deal with protesters in Portland. But you see, we got to call them something else. We got to call them, violent anarchists, and create an illusion that some people then respond to. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's what it is. It's ridiculous. But that's what we've got. So if this is about your personal life, which I doubt, but if it is, maybe you're dealing with issues of authority that you've got to get beyond, either your own or someone else's. And understand that if there's some illusion at work, which there likely is, then you need to figure out what that is and get beyond it. If this is your own expression of authority, understand that manipulation isn't going to serve you in the long run. People are going to figure it out. If you're incompetent, if you're doing the wrong thing, if you're acting without knowing, people will figure it out. And then no one's going to protect you. They're going to be looking at you, well, why'd you do that? And then you're going to force them to have to do something about it. Just, don't go there to begin with, I guess. I don't know. Look, we all have issues of authority, either our own or issues with someone else's. And it's just sad that now we have to worry about police that are unidentified, assuming that's what they really are. I don't know that they're not mercenaries that are on the government payroll now. I don't know who these people are, because a memo said they're not even trained to even be out there. So, and that's an internal DHS memo. So, yeah, this is nonsense what's going on, and hopefully we can get a handle on it. But I don't know. It just seems to be spiraling out of control, and we just can't allow it. So even if we have to do it from the standpoint of the protesters, make sure you guys don't do anything to confuse the situation. I don't know what else to say. I know what Portland people will do. I don't know about protesters in the rest of the country, though. Maybe it's not their middle name like it is here. Maybe they don't understand that they've got to have, music and food and, along the way. When you arrive at your destination. So anyway, it's a thing. You just got to let us do it. It's constitutionally protected. Keep your jackbooted thugs out of our state. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks a lot, you guys. We got a weekend coming up. I won't be back until Monday for another one of these, but Esoteric Influences will go up every day, so check in there. If you would, I'd appreciate that. The new ones go up on Sunday. They do go out in the newsletter, and today's I screwed up on that. So if you have to go to the blog or listen to Esoteric Influences, you'll get the actual one for today on the numerology. I don't know why I added 2 and 3 and got 4. I really don't. I wish that it was something, I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know. I looked at it, skitzed out, and that's what I said. It's not. So I fixed it. It is on the blog, so you can actually see what today's numerology is. I don't know. I'm so sorry. But anyway, if you want to, it's the first time I've done that, I think, anyway. If you want to go and sign up for that, I promise I'll do better this week. And you just put your email in over there on the side panel of the blog up toward the top, and it goes into the newsletter software container for the emails. And I hit send. I do it. I hit send. And so you get the whole thing. Other than the specific information for human design, you get the general channel information, but for the specifics, you got to listen to the video or look at the blog. So, at the hard copy there. So anyway, that's it. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Thanks so much for watching. Do click subscribe. I'd love you to do that and come back and see where all this is going. It's just nutty, isn't it? I look forward to the day when we just talk about what's going on in our personal lives and kibitz about that, and that we're not having to deal with these massive situations that are affecting so many of us. So anyway, thanks again. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask if you go out, please, 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 and blessed be.